He wakes up after being in what is essentially a dimensional coma for a year, and now he is he's a billionaire with a flying car and is awesome.
David DeMarco loves comic books.
Spoiler alert.
Making the decision to start selling comics was easy.
I've never had a bad day at work here other than like the times where I've hurt myself, like dropping a box on my foot. And that doesn't count. I've never had a day where I'm like, ugh, work. I have to go to the comic book store and talk to people about stuff I love. That has never happened, never, not once. Given that we are now in this new golden age of comic books where writing and art and all these things have kind of become way more accepted, then one of the things that makes a tremendous story is, I think, open-mindedness and something new and different, characters that you haven't necessarily seen before. Ta-ta!
But it's not just the stories they tell.
You're welcome.
His passion comes from sharing those stories with others.
There are things that I would be sad if somebody didn't read them in their life, like they're just really good. As surely as you want someone to have read like To Kill a Mockingbird, it's like a good story, everyone should read it. There are lots of stories like that in the comic world, and they are not meant just for one particular set of people.
A good comic can also be a means of dealing with hardship. When David's father died, he used some of his inheritance to buy a rare and expensive Spider-Man comic. A hot commodity for any comic book collector, but not a purchase his father would have approved of.
Sorry, Dad. I'm sorry that I took the opportunity to kind of console myself by buying this thing I'd always wanted, but it was super great and I loved it.
With that passion as a driving force, David and his business partners joined forces to open Legends Comics and Coffee in hopes of engaging with the community in a new way.
We're certainly a part of a growing cadre of these sorts of shops. But I do think that it makes a difference because everyone has accepted coffee as just like, yes, coffee. Comic books still maybe have some work to do. So if I can be a custodian for that and just be a reason why more and more people get into this, oh, great, I'll take it.
I live just a few blocks away. My wife and I come here. My wife is not a comic reader, but she likes to hang out on the coffee side. I can go over, do the comic thing. It's a really open atmosphere.
This is volume 2, though.
Everyone from all walks of life comes in here. We got lawyers, doctors. You know, I'm so glad to see more and more women coming in. That is very, very important for this industry. You cannot be this isolated little bubble that's just like this weird little boys club that you put up a gate against new readers. Like this thing has to be thrown wide open. We've had tons of people who have met here, went on first dates. And then we've had people who got married here, like full on had the wedding, like where we are sitting right now. A fair amount of romance in a place where stereotypically romance isn't supposed to even come into it. So we're pretty proud of that.
It's not just customers who are drawn to Legends, but comic book creators as well.
I put a fair amount of detail.
Yeah.
Not all the time.
So that's the Legend Comics and Coffee Creators Workshop, and that is for local writers and artists to kind of come together, network with each other, bounce ideas off one another.
I think it's that idea of making the hobby, the industry and everything part of the community. And that's that idea of fighting that exclusivity that surrounded comic book shops for so long.
It's kind of a place of synthesis. Coming here, getting to know people, ideas are able to grow into, you know, more than just ideas, and then you can start developing that up to the next phase.
It's actually led to several comic books and children's books being created and published that we do sell over on our front counter. It's really been great just watching people who didn't know each other come together and create something. That's super cool. The community was there, right? We are a lightning rod. That's all we did. We just kind of were like, here we are, and the community was like, yes.
As the community began to take notice, David saw an opportunity to give back. Inspired to help a charity that has personal significance.
I have a niece, her name is Alyssa. When she was 5, she had leukemia, and she was in the hospital for years. She can't leave, she's hooked up to stuff. Hospitals are not fun places. And she said that she started to forget what it was like to be out. It's almost like you take on like a prisoner mentality, like you forget that there's life out there. And Make-A-Wish reminded her that there are things out there to fight for, to be hopeful about.
The Make-A-Wish Foundation grants the wishes of children diagnosed with life-threatening medical conditions. Inspired by his niece's story, David vowed to make a difference.
So I asked myself, what can I do as a comic book store owner? What can I do to really raise a bunch of money or try to at least affect some positive change? And so in honor of Alyssa, I was like, well, I own a whole store now. So what if I just start systematically giving away all these other things that I have. These are the assets I have, my Spider-Man collection, my other expensive comics. And I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do it every year. And when I don't have something to give away, I'll find something to buy and I'll buy it and I'll give that away. And that's what we've been doing.
So, every year, David and the crew at Legends sell tickets and host a raffle party, with all proceeds going directly to the Nebraska chapter of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. David's first contribution was his most prized possession.
I was holding the Amazing Fantasy 15, and I remember why I bought it. That pales in comparison to the memory of giving that comic book away. We ended up, I think, raising around $8,800 off of the Amazing Fantasy 15, which was pretty good. $8,000 is about the cost of one wish. So we are basically, we try to grant a wish a year, and that is where I'm just like, come on.
And we are going to do our prize drawing for this year's Make-A-Wish fundraiser. We are happy to report that we have raised $8,269. Chris Kane, also a Pull File customer, who said, if I don't win the magic cards, sell my prize and give it to charity. So, look at that.
So far, Legends has raised over $40,000 for charity.
All credit for that goes to my niece, Alyssa. She's 24 now. She is majored in nonprofit management. She's constantly doing dance-a-thons to raise money for cancer research. Like, the fact that she went through that and saw what good an organization like Make-A-Wish could do shaped how she lived the rest of her life. And now she's actively trying to make sure that other kids get the same chance. She's an amazingly positive person. She's an inspiration. I love her very much. And I'm glad that she came into my life and kind of opened my eyes to see that I could do more.
The staff at Legends has cultivated an atmosphere that's as much about community as it is selling comic books. And for their efforts, they gained international recognition at the 2014 San Diego Comic Convention, winning the coveted Will Eisner Spirit of Retailing Award.
For us, now the goal is to make sure that we live up to that. A lot of people might give up, like, oh, we did it, we can stop. No, 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 there's other things to do. Thanks, guys. You know, selling comic books and making people happy, that's a reasonable thing. But to actually try to use my position as a comic book store owner, being part of this community to really make, I think, a more positive influence, I think that's pretty rad too.